Blackberries are a bugger of a thing to deal with. They prick you, they're nasty, they're hard to clear away, but yet once you get on top of it, it's kind of like, it's a really nice feeling and you feel like you're back to your strength again.
So I've just had what I'd probably call an incremental improvement process over a 20-year period, which was interrupted by the bushfires. What happened is after the fires came through, their level of potash in the ground increased substantially, which the blackberries love. So while I'm running around trying to fix fences and rebuild and do all these sorts of jobs, the blackberries are sort of running away with themselves. So I started mulching them up and this, that and the other, and I tried to burn some, but I realised it was a job I could never get on top of. So I decided, well, might as well go through the Blackberry action plan, and it's worked out fine. I'm happy with that. I think that if you live in an area, you should try and put something back into it. So I just thought being involved in the Blackberry Action Group and the projects they're involved in, pretty good.
You know, to me it looked like a bigger problem than it was, so having the advice broke it down into a really manageable level.
I'm not a fan of chemicals, I never have been. I don't like using chemicals. In the end I thought, well look, to get them under control, I'll go down that path, and in retrospect, probably a good decision. The contractor came out, spent about, well, probably 10 days here. But what I noticed is the impact was immediate. Within about 3 or 4 days, blackberries were dying all over the place. And parts of the property that I couldn't get to, all of a sudden I could get to.
People were then realised there was only benefits to them. They entered into that, and what happened? They got advice, they got support, they were able to borrow equipment. I mean, there was no downside.
Now I've got very nice cleared land where previously I just had blackberries 6 foot high, and they're very hard to control. Once they get a grip on, they're really hard to control because they attach themselves to everything.
I sort of noticed as different people were able to get control of the blackberries on their land, the neighbours started to become far more interested. One, I think people started to believe it was possible.
If you own an asset, what's the point of allowing it to run down? You know, I think most of the people I know want to leave things in a better state than they found them.
I think it was nearly 300 solid hectares of actual blackberries no longer exist, and I mean that's if you bunch them all together. To even imagine that is phenomenal. But that's only happened because individuals were given the assistance each person needed. Some people just needed advice. Some people couldn't afford to do it or didn't know where to start. Because we had the 3 groups who got to know their communities, we all got to know each other. We have network meetings, and in Steels Creek we care just as much about the people in Chum Creek and in Dixons Creek as we do about Steels Creek, and vice versa. So it doesn't dilute the effort, it actually multiplies it out.
The journey for people who own rural property and can actually improve something is really satisfying.
Certainly is nice living in a place that feels prosperous. And I don't mean prosperous, people aren't driving around in brand new cars all the time, but prosperous as in people are happy with their life and feel in control of it. And when you talk to your neighbours, they're not talking about their problems, they're talking about, gee, we're lucky to live here.
My advice to all landholders is start working towards leaving it in a better position than you found it.